I'm ready. I'm not ready, but we're all ready. We are all ready for the continuation of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which is a classic. Similarly, we're a classic at the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. Yeah, we worked with WWE on that. It was kind of our idea too. But they won't give us any credit, so it's whatever. Last time we helped them. But anyway, let's get into the show. We're talking NXT for 9-9, I believe it was last week. Yes, we are a whole lot of late, but that's not my fault. That is someone else's fault. That's not my fault.
Justin's?
Just saying.
Justin's fault?
Yeah, let's just say it's Justin's fault. Sure. But anyway, let's get into it. So, we open up with a Divas match for the Divas Revolution. Well, not exactly. Neither of these women are technically in the Revolution, even though they are. Whatever. We got Carmella versus Peyton Royce. So I see the Peyton, and it confuses me. I thought she was an amazing quarterback. Turns out she's just a really good wrestler. I don't know. But, start off the match. I really like the competition and the sportsmanship in this match between these two. They shook each other's hands. There was a little bit of one-upsmanship, but you could tell there was a good amount of respect between the two. Carmella did a pretty nice moonwalk there. Not really sure what that has to do with wrestling, but it was pretty good. I was impressed. I gave her a high five. I was like, "Get right, girl." She didn't give it back, but she's waiting later. But anyway, so there was an atomic drop after that didn't look too good. It just didn't look like it was placed well. This was Peyton Royce's debut. I did look her up a little bit. She, along with Emma and Tyler Breeze, were both trained. We're all trained by Lance Storm. So I'm kind of expecting some pretty good things from her. I feel like anyone, as long as you're trained by a good wrestler, you turn out to be a pretty good wrestler yourself. Tyler Breeze is a really good in-ring performer. Emma's a really good in-ring performer, and Lance Storm is at least to me is a legend. I always liked his in-ring stuff. Pretty good match to start out the show. Carmella does win via submission. So any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I definitely like this match. I was excited for Peyton Royce. For some reason, I feel like every time we get a new person, I expect him to be a jobber. I don't know why. I think that's just the NXT way, though. Like, you start out as a jobber, and then you just turn into the perfect 10. Oh, wait. When I talk about Ty Dillinger? No, but still, I feel like that is kind of the NXT way. If you're not a big star coming in, you start out as a jobber, and then you kind of just build your way up, which I think that's why I thought Peyton Royce was kind of a jobber. Was this her first match, though? For some reason, I've seen her before, I feel like, in NXT.
They said this was her debut, so I don't know.
I'll have to look that. I'll look that up on Wikipedia if she even has a Wikipedia page. I'll probably end up seeing that she's the NXT Women's Champion right now or something like that. I don't know. I'll look it up though, and I'll update it during the next match. But I did think this was a good, pretty good match. I like that Royce is a good wrestler. I like Carmella's dancing ability. Moonwalk, killing it. She was killing it with those head scissors and the head. This match was like full of like legs around head type stuff. Yeah, it was kind of a lot of head scissors type moves and a lot of leg usage this match. So these girls are got those educated legs, educated feet. But I like the match nonetheless.
They do have the educated legs, which I enjoy. I'd move on. Next we get a backstage segment with Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Joe asks Finn if he's ready. Finn says he better be because the Lucha Dragons are no joke, and he wants to win this for Dusty. It seems like everyone wants to win this for Dusty. I think they could stop saying that. It's obvious everyone wants to win it for Dusty because everyone had such high respect for Dusty. But any thoughts on this backstage segment?
Not really. Who else are you gonna win it for? Come on, there's no one else's name on the thing, unless like my name's in like fine print or something. There's no other names on this, Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So, who else are you gonna win it for? But it's obvious. But they're obviously trying to pay their respects, which makes sense.
Yeah. So, hold on. There we go. So moving on, they showed some highlights from a first round match with Enzo and Cass defeating Dawkins and Fulton at a live event. I just didn't like that this wasn't televised. Like this was at a live event, but it was untelevised. What's the point of having this be in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic if you're not going to have it on NXT? Show us the whole match. I just didn't like that they did that. They also showed highlights from another first round match at, I guess, the same show featuring Dawson and Wilder defeating Elias Sampson and Tucker Knight. Again, I don't know why they didn't show these full matches, because later on they do show a full match from this parent show or whatever that isn't live. I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to it. I just didn't like that they didn't show these full matches on the show, especially for a big, tribute to Dusty Rhodes. I don't know. I mean, they obviously had cameras there because they showed little highlights of it. So why couldn't they just show the whole match? Is what I was upset about. But any thoughts on these highlights?
Before I get to that, I did find out that Peyton Royce, she had another match before this, but she wasn't known as Peyton Royce. So I for some reason I thought I had seen her. It was against Sasha Banks, who was the champion at that time. But yeah, I was confused about that too. I was like, this tournament's supposed to be such a big thing, and you can't televise all the matches. And I'm completely fine with them doing them at live events. That's completely fine with me. Why don't you just play the whole match? You obviously recorded parts of it for some weird reason. You might as well just play the whole match. I don't understand why they didn't do that. I was just like, why? I don't understand. Tyler Knight, I don't know who that guy is, but I wanted to see him, but I can't even see him because they're putting him on live shows that I can't see. Come on. WWE, what are you doing?
Oh, look, another Dana Brooke. Oh, wait, no, it's not Dana Brooke. Sorry. It's Nia Jax. Sorry. I get the two confused, because obviously it's the same person. Another coming soon vignette. I'm just, getting tired of seeing these coming soon vignettes. Just bring them. Come on. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, same here. Yeah, she reminds me of a mix of China and Dana Brooke. She sounds just like Dana Brooke, but this seems like the way they would throw China on us. So I don't know. She sounds like Dana Brooke. It's Dana Brooke. We know. WWE. We know. We know.
It's Dana Brooke with a wig. Anyway, so moving on to another match in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, a match that both DJ and I have been thoroughly excited for, really looking forward to. So much so, I'm gonna give him this match just because I'm that kind of guy, and I was too excited to write too much about this because I was just like, come on. But yeah, we get Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey, because that's a great tag team with the vending machine on the outside, as backup. It was there. It was there. Versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I still can't believe I'm saying those two names in NXT. But go ahead and take this match.
Alrighty, I agree. I finally figured out how to spell Johnny Gargano, the Gargano part. For some reason, I just couldn't spell it. I don't know what it was. I still can't spell Tommaso or Ciampa. I just spelled it the best I can. Word puts the little red line under it like it's misspelled. And I'm like, it's not, though. And then I change it slightly and they take it away. Anyway, I like this match, definitely. Bree showboated a little bit and was met with a slap. Bull Dempsey comes in and using his power on Tommaso Ciampa. We had a nice spear through the ropes by Gargano. Crossbody stopped by Bull Dempsey with the belly. I needed at that moment, I needed the Grado belly chant right there. Grado needed to come out there, belly, that's what I needed right there in that moment. But the Enziguri gets Ciampa in. And then he hits the running knee for 2. Oh man, I missed those running knees. I needed more of them actually. Lots of chokeholds on Bull as they kind of isolate Bull a little bit. Nice drop kick on Breeze by Gargano. The bionic elbow by by Bull Dempsey. Wow. I'll comment on that here in a second. And then the miscommunication leads to the win by Ciampa and Gargano. After the match, Breeze attacks Bull and out of frustration. And then a supermodel kick on the kneeling Bull Dempsey. Seriously though, did Bull Dempsey turn into Grado during this match? He did the belly. He did the bionic elbow. I mean, all he needed was the fanny pack. I think we would have had Grado out there. I think. I was like, wow. I was reading through my notes. I'm like, wow, did he just turn into Grado? That's where Grado went. I found him. He's on NXT. But I definitely like this match. I did. I liked this match. I thought it was really good. I thought, Ciampa and Gargano looked really good. I hadn't seen Gargano in a while. And I hadn't seen Ciampa in at least a couple of months. So I was really excited going into this match. I kind of want to see how far they go.
Yeah. I'm kind of predicting seeing possibly Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. I feel like they're gonna end up doing that, and that would be an awesome match. But anyway,
every Ring of Honor guy ever in the same match.
First off, in this match, I noticed. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but Ciampa didn't have the knee brace that he usually has on. So I don't know what's going on with that. I was like, is his knee better? What's going on? I don't know. Amazing slap by Tommaso on Breeze in the beginning. I was like, oh, he just punked you out. Like, oh man. Nice spear through the ropes by Gargano. There was a kick that I missed because I was writing notes because they're too damn quick. I missed it. I looked down to write my notes and I heard the oh, and I was like, I missed it, but I didn't want to rewind because I just wanted to get through the review as quick as I could. But anyway, I'll probably go back and watch this match again anyway. But awesome match. I did still feel like they were a little bit watered down, but I think that's just something that WWE does anyway. I mean, they've done it with all the guys. They've watered them down a little bit. We don't see the full, of what all they can do that they've done in Ring of Honor, PWG, wherever. I mean, they did that with Samoa Joe. They've done that with Sami Zayn. They did that with Finn Balor. I mean, they're still great and they're still really exciting. It's just they do kind of water them down, and I think part of it is just safety things. There's some of the things that they can do, but WWE doesn't necessarily want them to do, just safety reasons, which I understand. They do a lot of crazier stuff in the indies that isn't necessarily probably the best thing that they should do, but it gets the pop from the fans. But maybe they'll loosen up a little bit. WWE will, but after the match, like DJ said, Tyler does attack Bull. So I you know this will kind of bring up an interesting storyline, I think, between Bull and Tyler Breeze, which I'm kind of excited for. Just because it felt like they weren't really sure what to do with either of these guys for a while there. So at least they'll do something with them now, hopefully. But next, we get a Lucha Dragons promo. It started off with Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, and then they started speaking English, and I was like, okay, I got this. I know English, well, mostly. I know some English. I don't know the full English language, but whatever. They say it is an honor to compete in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Then they say that Balor and Joe shouldn't underestimate them, or they'll feel their fire. And I was confused because I was like, they clearly aren't underestimating you, considering Finn said earlier that the Lucha Dragons are no joke. Like less than an hour and WWE forgets the storyline. Come on. Then after that we get another Dana Brooke interview, which I threw up. And then a Ty Dillinger promo video package, and I threw up again. Thoughts on any of these three things? I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on the last thing.
Yeah, the Lucha Dragons backstage. I literally they wrote some stuff. They said some stuff in Spanish. I need subtitles, but luckily Kalisto can speak English. I can't remember. I didn't think Sin Cara could talk because he got the little thing on his mouth. The mask that covered up his whole mouth. I didn't think he could talk. So luckily we know he can talk. We know that Kalisto is a great interpreter. Shout out to Kalisto for being that for me here. Dana Brooke, I don't know what it is, but I'm really starting to like Dana Brooke. I don't know what it is. I was impressed by the interview, and I was impressed by the match later on. I just like the girl for some reason. I think it may have been the fact that I hated Amanda and they were similar to me, and my hatred for Amanda is so big, and they're putting on Total Divas. But anyway, my hatred for Amanda is so big that Dana Brooke is kind of growing on me. You know, she is. But you know, Ty Dillinger. The perfect 10 vignette. Obviously, they're pushing the boy, Ty Dillinger. Hashtag give Dillinger a push before Apollo Crews gets his. even though I love Apollo Crews, I just feel like Dillinger's kind of been working a little bit harder than Crews has as far as NXT is concerned. That's all they really care about, I think. Yeah, I was excited, though. I want to see what they're going to do with Ty Dillinger and his perfect 10. He's obviously going to be a part of Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose's team coming up, it's coming. Come on. We know. Not a champions, baby. But I'm excited. I want to see what they do with Ty Dillinger. And I want them to finish his feud with Jason Jordan. Still an open book. It's an open book in the corner of my room that I need to go back and read. But I can't.
They need to finish writing that book. They left a couple pages out. Like a whole chapter, that's not there. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. We get a match with Billy Kay, who, by the way, beat Eva Marie last week. It happened. There was a 3 count. That wasn't, the ref didn't, but she did. That's all I'm saying. She won. It doesn't show it in the record books right now, but she won. Just saying. And she's going up this week, 2-0 this week. She's going for that 2-0 record against Dana Brooke. Just pure talent from Billy Kay in this match. Just amazing. But she's modest about it. So she could have completely taken Dana to school, but she held back. She really did. The ref missed an illegal choke by Dana. It was clear as day. I saw it. It was a choke. Billie Kay is, officially 1-0 because her shoulder was up at the pin. I saw it. So this match technically hasn't ended. It's still going on right now. Because Dana didn't pin her. I'm just saying. Thoughts on this match that's still going on?
I like this match. I like Dana Brooke. She's growing on me. The more and more I watch her, I know she's not growing on you, but she's growing on me. Um, she's doing a good job, playing mind games, just being a heel. I like that. Um, and I even think she's doing better like on the mic. I want to see her talk more in the ring though. I want to see her like trash talk a little more. I just think it would be add to her heel persona. I mean, even Eva Marie talks during her matches, so I feel like I feel like Dana Brooke could do it. And she is the total diva, she says. So you know. But yeah, there wasn't anything that just stood out to me. I just thought overall it was a good match. I like Billie Kay too. She may have been who I was mistaking for Peyton Royce earlier. Um, I'm not really sure because I've seen Billie Kay a couple of times too. So I'm like, I'm so confused. They're all similar right now because they haven't really been like defined as anything but somewhat jobbers, but really good jobbers. But ends up winning with the Samoan driver. Does Dana Brooke? Um,
No.
she does. She does. It was for 3. 1, 2, trace. Oh, I was learning a little Spanish from Sin Cara earlier, so I at least got trace.
No, the shoulder wasn't down. I'm putting I officially complain. I'm putting in a complaint in with professional wrestling in general, just the whole thing. Anyway, let's move on. Out of that issue. Devin Taylor. Devin. I love Devin. She's so nice. She held back from killing Dana Brooke. I don't know why, but she does. She interviews Apollo Crews about his impact since coming to NXT. He says in Brooklyn and last week, that wasn't the NXT universe. That was the Apollo Nation. And the Nation is about to take over NXT. After that, they showed highlights of the NXT Women's title match in Brooklyn, and then showed Bayley's biggest fan meeting her, which was kind of cool. Any thoughts on either one of these?
Yeah. Obviously, what's gonna happen is Apollo Crews. He said Apollo Nation. So we got the Nation little jab there. Apollo Crews is gonna go up to the main roster. He's gonna join the New Day, and they're gonna rebrand themselves as the Nation of Domination Part 2. That's what's gonna happen. Apollo Nation. That's what I got from this. Personally, I think. No, in all seriousness, though, I thought it was pretty good. I like that he has the Apollo Nation. He has a nation all to himself. I think it's pretty cool. It was kind of that typical, though. It was pretty typical of a promo for a new guy. I'm taking over because I'm the best. So that's pretty much it was the typical promo we get from every new guy that comes in or new latee. The Bayley thing was really cute. The little girl does resemble Bayley. I'm glad that they show some consistency because like they could have picked out some random little girl and said, "Hey, it's Bayley's biggest fan" just because she won the title. But like we've seen this girl before, which I think is really cool. That they've showed her actually on camera during some of the tapings before. So I think that's really cool that they kind of reached out to her a little bit.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So next we get the Lucha Dragons versus Finn Balor and Samoa Joe in the Tag Team Classic. I this was what bothered me about this whole show. I hated that this match was also at a live event, but this was the only one that they showed the full match. Why? Although we did get to see Joe and Finn's entrance on kind of the full Raw SmackDown stage, which was kind of cool. they. I thought it was kind of funny that they were in the Dunkin' Donuts Center. I was like, yeah, they in the Dunkin' Donuts Center. Go get some donuts. Um. Anyway, even though I kind of knew, I feel like everyone knew who was going to win this match. I was still excited for it. Even though probably just for the fact that it was actually in the big arena, so kind of they get that little bit of exposure more. How it is to perform in such a big arena, even though they all kind of already know. Finn Balor obviously has wrestled all over the world in huge arenas. Samoa Joe was in TNA, so he's obviously wrestled in big arenas before. The Lucha Dragons obviously have wrestled in big arenas before, so it just kind of gets them used to the WWE at least. Um, the only thing I was upset about was the match seemed a lot shorter than I thought it should have been. I felt like it should have been longer, but I was happy with it otherwise. Any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I definitely like this match. It was a little short though. I felt like Finn's entrance looked a lot better. I felt like not as the Demon. I don't know what they should do with the title when he comes out as the Demon. But, like, I'm talking about his title entrance. Like, I love the Demon entrance by itself, but like, I know we were talking about how it kind of looked a little bit weird with him being the Demon. It looked a lot better this time though. It kind of showed a new side of Finn Balor a little bit with the, he was kind of like, showing it off a little bit, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, this match was good. I knew it was going to be good with the Lucha Dragons, Finn and Samoa Joe in there. It's obviously going to be pretty good. Love the monkey flip splash by Kalisto. I think they've done that before, but that was one of the first times I had seen it, so I was like, I like that. They should do that more often. The sunset flip bomb was kind of hard for Sin Cara because Joe is massive. But but it still I liked it nonetheless. Kalisto's Hurricane Rana on Samoa Joe looks ridiculous too because Kalisto's so small, and I'm like, how? How did you do this? Teach me your ways, Sin Cara. I mean, Kalisto. But the Muscle Buster coup de grace win by Finn and Joe. I'm interested. I want to see how far they go with this because if this is supposed to end. If this tournament is supposed to not the final round is supposed to be at Takeover, are they gonna have a tag team title match that night too? And if Finn's still in the tournament, is he gonna still defend the NXT championship, or are they gonna keep that to kind of take a break from the NXT championship for that night or something? That's kind of interesting too if he does advance and continue to advance.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering is, whoever wins this tournament, are they like the number one contenders, or how does that work? Because they didn't really explain that too much. They just kind of said, we're gonna have the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, but they didn't really explain, what the winner gets. But either way, it's getting exciting. I can't wait to see, what happens next week. And just in general. But yeah, and we do have NXT Takeover coming up in October, which is pretty exciting. I like that they're getting a little bit closer now. The takeovers. For the first couple ones, it felt like they would have a takeover, and then you wouldn't have another one for like 4 months. But now it seems like they're kind of putting them closer together, which is exciting. Of course, I don't want them to be too close together because then it'll turn just into kind of a normal WWE monthly pay-per-view, which gets kind of boring. I like when companies used to have their pay-per-views kind of spread out a little bit more, where you would go maybe 2 months without a pay-per-view, or a month or whatever. It helps build up storylines a little bit more. And I kind of would like to see NXT do that a little bit. But I'm excited for it. And any other thoughts before we leave these fine viewers?
Yeah. One more thing. I felt like it was really cool. It's really cool that we got 16 teams in this tournament. Remember we said something about having 16 teams, and we were like, I don't know if they have 16 teams. We actually did get 16 teams. I just counted it on the bracket. I was trying to figure out because when they show the bracket on TV, they don't show us everyone who's in it, which kind of leaves the element of surprise. But I was kind of like, how many teams are there in this thing? Because it looked like it was a lot. So I think that's pretty cool how they somehow compiled up 16 teams.
Yeah. Where did you find the bracket? Because I looked and I couldn't find. All I could find was like a small picture of it. And
Yeah, yeah, I found the same thing. It was just a small picture. And when I tried to zoom in, you couldn't see like who was on it. It's a mystery.